This week's episode is slightly different. I'm joined by Pedro Boucherie Mendes. Pedro was a judge on the first ever Portuguese Idols. He's a program director for one of Portugal's biggest TV stations. He's the host of a popular TV show called Irritations, but mostly he's just a guy that loves his country and thinks there's always room for improvement. So let's just jump into my conversation with Pedro, sometimes tongue-in-cheek, sometimes just plain honest, about why he is irritated with Portugal. Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life, and I'm honored to be joined by Pedro Boucherie Mendes. Pedro, thank you for being on the podcast. How are you?
Thank you, Dylan. I'm very fine, thank you. And you?
I'm very, very well. I've always said to people that I never want to be the stalker on a plane, but I became the stalker on the plane. We met on a flight to London, and I interrupted your flight to ask you if you'd be on the podcast. So thank you so much for not calling security.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. It was very surprising for me, but well, it was very, but it's a good story to tell my friends. Yeah, it was.
Exactly. So you met a crazy guy, a South African guy on the plane, and the rest is history.
I'm not sure they believed it, but well, here we are. Here we are. We have this talk. So this
now you can show them this video, and that's the proof.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely.
Pedro, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about you?
So I'm 51 at this time. It's time of recording. I was born in Angola. My parents were there. Angola used to be a Portuguese territory in those days. I live in the Lisbon area since 78. So since I was 8. I'm married. I have 2 kids. I live in the outskirts of Lisbon in a place called Algés. And I work in media since I left university, since 1991. At this time, I work in SIC, one of the main channel in Portugal. I do strategic planning. I also run a small cable channel called SIC Radical. And I also usually write for newspapers. I'm also a radio host. I host a show in SIC Radical called Irritations. And well, I've published 6 books. And well, I'm a big F1 fanatic and a Sporting Lisbon big supporter. So this is me.
See, I knew we'd be friends because I'm Sporting as well. And, we're good people. We've suffered for a long time.
Yes, we did.
I heard today that maybe Amorim's going to PSG. Did you hear anything about that?
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
You think it's real?
I think there's a possibility. Yes. Oh. I like him very much. I think he was very, very important in the championship we won last year. I hope he stays.
Me too.
It was a very important day in my life. One of the happiest days of my life. It was, really.
It was amazing. For many people like me, we didn't know what it's like to win the league. And incredible. Pedro, you're in a very well-known city. You work and live in Lisbon. It's one of the most well-known cities now in Europe and the world. What do you want people to know about Lisbon, and what's so special about it?
Well, it's rather small, and I think that's a good thing. It's very safe, and I think that's a very good thing. And it's very laid back also, and that's, I think, a very good thing. It's a bit hilly, and that's not a good thing, but well. And I think you people from abroad do feel at home here in this Lisbon area, in Lisbon where I live, or other parts of Portugal. That's one of our advantages, I would say. We are very friendly with foreigners, and we are very non-hostile with other people, generally speaking. So we are very laid back, and we don't really show any negative emotions to other people, even if they are from Portugal also. So we are very, I would say, civilized. Well, I think that those are good reasons to be in Portugal, to visit Portugal.
You've got an interesting name, Boucherie. That's, I think, a Belgian background.
Yes, my mother is Belgian. Yes, that's true. She married a Portuguese. My father. Yes, so I'm half Belgian, half Portuguese. Yes.
Okay, so it's a good combination. It's a good combination, actually.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. It's sometimes I don't fully understand my Portuguese peers or my Portuguese friends or whatever, or colleagues, because I have this Northern Europe side. But it's okay. It's who I am, right? So.
Well, paint us a picture of the inner battle. Where do you find your Northern European and your Portuguese side clashing?
In our main I would say handicap, which is adaptability. We in Portugal tend to see it as an advantage because we can adapt. I see it as a big disadvantage because since we think we can adapt, we don't really plan. For instance, I've given several interviews in my life, several, I would say, more than 100, and this was the first time somebody sent me the topics, because in Portugal we tend to believe that improvising or heat of the moment kind of situations are better than planned situations, and I think this because it's a mixture of laziness with a fear of being wrong. And if I send him the questions, he will think this and that and this and that, but it's quite nice to get the answers.
I didn't know that. So you've done interviews on big television stations and news, and no one ever sent you.
No, and I work in a very big television, and sometimes we're discussing the shows, and I say, "Oh, you should send this and that guy the questions because he must be prepared." Oh no, we cannot send him because this is more natural. If he doesn't know, he'll. And when you make open questions like, oh, what's your favorite? What was your favorite moment of your life? It's you have to think about it to give an honest answer, right? But in Portugal we tend to believe that the heat of the moment, the spontaneity answer is the best one. Well. That's where my northern and southern parts of me clash. Life is very good in Portugal, but it could be much easier if we planned a little bit more.
Planning goes a long way. Maybe that's the German side of me. I've got some German blood and some Anglo-Saxon. Must be because of that.
But I don't know if you're familiar with imposter syndrome. You know what it is? Yeah. Of course you do, and sometimes I have a good opinion about myself, but sometimes I think I'm just normal because I write things down. For instance, I think, well, I'm 51, I don't have the same memory I used to have when I was 20, so let me write things down. For instance, I'm at this point taking care of a house. We bought a house, a beach house or whatever, and now we have to buy beds and blankets and plates and so I write it down, but not in a crazy paranoia, but normally. But for my wife and for my friends, they say, "Oh, you were nervous about it. You are nervous and you have to write things down." And I say, "No, I have to write things down because I must buy the goddamn plates or the sheets or the sofas or whatever." And people in Portugal tend to be optimistic about their capabilities, and they see writing things down as a weakness. For instance, I don't know if you
or that you're too stressed. And don't be so stressed.
Yeah. Don't be so stressed, because if I write things down, I'm a stressed kind of person. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. You have a very good show. This is how we first started speaking. I enjoy it a lot. Like you mentioned, called Irritations.
Yeah.
Irritations.
Yes.
And it's just a group of people sitting around talking about what irritates them. Right?
Yes, but it's the original concept was and is it's an idea of mine. Is a kind of a meta show, making fun of the other shows, because in Portugal, in television, everything is very important, and the war and Putin and the politicians, all things are very important. It's difficult to make television in Portugal because it's difficult to find relaxed people that just talk about stuff, freely about stuff. And well, when I thought of this show, it was somehow to talk about everyday topical things and stuff that irritates you. So it doesn't mean you have to be right about them, But sometimes we get emails and messages, oh, what you said, it was wrong because of this and that. And I answer, but that's not the point. That's that guy's opinion about, bicycles or the sea or mountains or whatever. It's not set in stone. It's not God's word about stuff. And in Portugal, we tend to be very serious about things, and it's sometimes difficult to discuss them, even if it's a normal thing, like if you prefer peanuts to almonds, for instance. You could get the guy who runs the almond federation or whatever, send an email saying that almonds are better than peanuts because they have more vitamins or whatever. This is a very likely thing to happen in Portugal, because we tend to believe also that what is said in television kind of the people, if they hear something in television, they will think it's the truth and they will act upon it. So if this guy is saying almonds are worse than peanuts, so I will never have almonds again, I will just have peanuts, which is ridiculous, of course.
Well, especially if it's got to do with food, because we do like to argue about food in Portugal, and it can get quite serious.
Yes, from my experience, people in Portugal only discuss about things that do not concern them directly, like, for instance, Putin or Ukraine, or if Boris Johnson should be prime minister or whatever. We somehow, it's very difficult for us to discuss, for instance, should you take a holiday on the north of Portugal or in the south of Portugal? It's very difficult because you will have hate from the parts that are not defended in the situation, and the food is one of them. Portuguese people are convinced that they have the best food ever, but then when they ask for Uber Eats or delivery, they're always asking for Italian food or Japanese food or Indian food. And when we say, oh, but why don't you ask for some typical Portuguese food? They will come with answers like, oh, it's not suitable for this moment. So we have the best food in the world, but we prefer, avocado, things with avocado, or salads, or sushi or whatever. I find it very, very funny.
What are well, now, I mean, I didn't know about this conflict, this inner conflict, so this is interesting. But what are some of the other things that irritate you about our country? We're going to take another side, because normally for this podcast, we talk about all these fluffy and positive things. What are the things that irritate you about our country?
I used to, and this is for real, I used to suffer a lot with it. When you're in school, for instance, in Portugal, I don't know how it's like in the other countries, but when in school, the teacher will say, you will have to deliver this paper term or whatever by the next week, Friday next week, for instance. And I would, struggle to make it, or, okay, I was prepared and then I would give it to the teacher in the appointed date. But all my colleagues would say, or most of my colleagues would say, oh, teacher, I need an extra week because my cat was sick and whatever. And the teacher gave them that extra week. And this kind of situations used to be very, very, very common. Now they're just common. And it really affected me as a person for 20, 30 years. True story. And I don't know why. Probably is because of maturity or old age or whatever. For when I turned 45 or whatever, I managed to disconnect a bit about the Portuguese idiosyncrasies, and well, here we are talking about this and laughing. But for a long period of my life, it was sometimes a matter of life and death to me.
Wow. Okay. And what do you think bugged you so much? Why did it irritate you so much?
Probably the sense of unfairness, and because in some cultures, and Portugal was one of them, it doesn't pay off to follow the rules. For instance, I don't know. I remember that we had to pay Social Security in Portugal, and nobody paid. But I used to pay. I always paid, and then there were these, I don't know the term in English, but this government said, "Oh, everybody's forgiven. Let's start from scratch." So it happened many times in Portugal. Yes, many times in Portugal. And that sense of unfairness, generally speaking, for instance, parking on top of the sidewalks, for instance, but I bought a house with a garage. It was more expensive. I pay more taxes about it and I don't park in the passage, right, in the sidewalks. Oh, and the Portuguese answer, which is genius, of course, is, "Oh, I would too if I had a garage. I would put my car there." So we in Portugal we always find it very easy to get off situations, and that really affected me. But I would say it was my fault, of course. No, I'm not. This is not therapy, right? I would say it was my fault, but it really affected me. Yeah.
We've seen Portugal, now especially Lisbon, we've seen a lot of influx of foreigners and people coming from all over the world. Is there anything that irritates you about people coming in and what they expect from us as a country?
No, I don't think about it. I think the more rich people or people with good income we have, the better for all of us. So they're all welcome. I also think that we have this amazing quality that we also welcome poor people, and that's a good thing we have in Portugal. So I'm 101% in favor of immigrants, either they're rich or they're poor, or from Russia or China or Pakistan or France or I don't know, whatever, which country you choose. I think we need them. I think Portugal absolutely needs different kinds of people, different kinds of culture. We need to grow up as a country, and one of the paths is with people with different kind of blood, different kind of DNA. We need guys from England to marry girls from Portugal, women from Portugal to marry guys from Italy, whatever. We need that mix in order to become more demanding with each other and the situations. Because, like I said a few minutes ago, it would be very easy to be a better country, I think.
How do you think we can be better?
We could start by acknowledging that sometimes other guys will win. So if you're discussing, for instance, where should the airport will be, we have to be adults. We have to say we will discuss this until I don't know November next year, and then we will make a decision. In Portugal, we never accept a decision, and then we go to court, and then the politicians decide, but then we put this paper with the judge and whatever, and nothing gets done because it's inconceivable for us as a culture not to be right, not to have our goal being our position or our opinion being followed, and that's it's a stopper for us. It's a very bad thing for us.
So we lack decisiveness in some ways as well.
Yes, but I think it's more a matter of pride, and since we are more or less dependent on European money, we don't really understand the damage we are doing to our country. Sometimes a bad decision is better than a no decision, and I think that's a huge issue in Portugal, and I think that will change in 20, 30 years, but not in the short term.
So you think that having sort of exposure to more international, more cultures, more people from different walks of life is going to open up our way of doing things a little bit more and changing the way we do things?
we need our blood to be more mixed with different kind of, yes, definitely.
It's difficult to have our blood even more mixed. It is quite mixed already. I know what you're saying. I'm just making a joke.
Yeah, probably. But we need stronger institutions, and we don't have them. We like I said, we need to be adults and it's very difficult in Portugal to be adult in a situation because you don't gain anything from it, and besides the point that you feel like you're doing the real thing or whatever. It's very difficult because I really think it's because of pride and the way we are raised in our families, and mixed with some new age kind of crap, kind of follow your dreams, stand by your wishes or whatever. Portuguese people are very good at mixing those things they hear with their view of how things should be.
Okay, interesting. Having sort of traveled a lot, I mean, we met on a plane to London. Before that, you were in Paris. I'm assuming you've been to Belgium and to other parts of the world. What are some of the good things? What are some of the things that make you proud of Portugal and things that you think we should be holding on to?
Our sense of safety, in broader sense, the easygoingness of some situations, the flexibility in some situations. I would say in daily situations, and especially something that it's very difficult to convey to a foreigner, that nothing in Portugal is really important. Nothing at all. There's always a way out, not in a shady sense, but in fact, nothing is important in Portugal. You don't get the sense that if you do something that's very wrong, for instance, that it will be a definitive way for you. This is very difficult to explain. I don't know if you feel that living here for a while, but if we have an important meeting and somehow we overslept, it's always possible to get a second chance, for instance. And from what we see in movies, right, it's not possible. So and I think that's a quality we have in Portugal. We kind of understand that the human race is prone to mistakes and errors and whatever, and we tend to forgive them.
You think that's empathy?
No. I think it's more identification. And we would say, you arranged this podcast with me. I would say if you missed the by any chance and you try to reschedule, I would say, oh, maybe the guy had some bad luck. He had a flat tire or whatever, and because that could happen to me also. And of course, maybe that's the definition of empathy. Why not? But I think this nothing is serious is what one of our most national treasures.
You're never going to offend somebody so deeply that you're done with them, basically.
Yes. Yeah. More or less. Yeah. More or less.
And where do you think that comes from?
I would say, in a bad day, that it comes from some cowardice. We're a little bit cowards, I think. We like to talk behind people's back. I think that's healthy. Not. I think we understand, because if you talk about it, somehow the angst goes away, right? In that sense, and there's a kind of a pact that if I don't F with you, you won't F with me, and so you can park your car there to get a little bit of shadow, yeah, Dylan, but don't F with me if I put my bicycle in that part. Or it's if you think about it, it's quite rare to have that noisy neighbor guy, very aggressive because you didn't follow that rule. In Portugal, it's very rare to have that kind of bossy neighbor or get that guy from the army who wants everything, the grass cut it. We kind of go along with it, even if you have a For instance, I live in my building. We live in my apartment. The apartment next door, there's people from Nigeria living there from the embassy. So and they have this habit of cooking fish or whatever. Well, my building, my apartment building smells a lot like fish, but nobody went and knocked on the door of the Nigerian people and said, "Hey, what the hell, man? This is very smelly." Or we are just waiting for them to go away, you know. So my wife bought this corridor deodorant, and then she mumbles, rah, 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 "Those Nigerians are smelling." But she doesn't go there and knocks on the door and tell them to change their diet or whatever. And I think that's a good thing.
It's also kind, you know. People are kind.
Yeah.
You think people? Yeah.
I'm not sure it's kindness or empathy.
Or both.
But I think it's. I'm not sure it's seen by us as a positive thing. I think we see it as a pact, like I said, which is.
And you think it's a positive? And you think it's a positive thing?
Yes, very, very positive. Yes. Even when I suffer with the smell of fish, with the fishy smell. Yeah.
Yeah, in Portugal, there's lots of fishy smells as well. You know, we like to cook fish.
Yes, I like fish very much. Yes.
Where I don't want to sound like a stalker here again, but where you mentioned your beach house, whereabouts is it in Portugal?
You know the Meco area.
Yes. Okay,
yes.
On the other side of the river.
Yes, at the side of the bridge. Yes.
At the side of the bridge.
The 40 minutes drive from my house. It's an area we like a lot because of personal reasons, in the sense that we grew up. Me and my wife went there since we were in our mid-20s, and so we always, you know, dreamed about, someday we'll get a house here, and then we did it this year. Yes, thank you. It's a very good. It was a life project, and it's not beautiful, you know, like Portuguese people like to say that country is beautiful. It's not really beautiful, you know. Actually, the house is in an aldeia, and a little village that is quite ugly, with lots of different kinds of constructions, because we had we didn't really have norms of construction norms. I don't know if you know that. Following the revolution in '74, more or less everybody could build as they pleased. So that village is not a beautiful place, but it's our own thing, you know, our family's thing. So I think that's more important than being beautiful or whatever. Actually, I'm highly critical of the way Portuguese people and politicians treat their surroundings. For instance, I went to London, I went to Paris this last week, like you said. Very few big ads in the streets, but Lisbon and Portugal is full of them. You always have this huge billboard saying "Continente" 1 kilometer away or whatever, and we don't really cherish the beauty of our country. It's enough for us to say it's beautiful. You know, it's like your wife or you are a good-looking person, but you are always scruffy dressed or whatever, and it's that's weird for me. It's weird how we don't treat our country a little bit better. I'm saying visually speaking.
Yeah. Don't go to Praia do Meco on a Sunday morning.
Sorry?
Don't go to Meco Beach on a Sunday morning. Because there's a group of guys, they play naked touch rugby.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Do you know about that?
No, but it's fine by me. Yeah. Do you know that, for instance, the Meco Beach, which is a nude beach, was discovered, I'm doing air commas with my finger, by some German tourists in the 80s or something. So it's not a Portuguese thing. So the beach was there, but nobody really went there. So it took foreigners, you know, German hippies or almost hippies, to discover, and then the cultural elites from Lisbon started to go there, and now it's a destination.
Let's. I mean, I very rarely talk about anything that irritates me about Portugal on this podcast because this is a pro Portugal podcast, you know. But one of the things that I do that does irritate me is and it's something that you're kind of saying is I think here in Portugal we forget to appreciate what we have, and it takes a person that comes from another country to show us, hey, this part is really beautiful. You've got this wonderful coastline. You've got the fish, whatever it is, and we don't really appreciate it. We need someone else to kind of show us that it's amazing. Do you find the same thing?
Actually, no. I think that's I think most of the time when people say that, I'm not saying it's your case, but it's like you're saying to yourself that you're a good guy because yesterday you didn't eat dessert, you know. Oh yeah, I'm on a diet. Oh, for instance, take for instance, yesterday night I didn't have any dessert. Yes, Portugal is beautiful, but when we say it, it's as if we're saying that the other countries are uglier than ours, and that's not the case, of course.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is I think this third or fourth time I'm going to say it. It could be much better, you know. If for instance, if when we are going to the Algarve or Mecca or Óbidos, we didn't have those huge billboards saying that the supermarket is ahead. We don't need that. You can put a smaller plaque or whatever. You don't need those huge billboards. You don't need to be in the big avenues in Lisbon, which is an European capital, blah, 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 and have political ads still. You still have huge billboards from the elections. That's absurd, but we still have them. And so when you take off those billboards, I will say, yes, Lisbon is very beautiful, blah, 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 blah. But if it's important, what I mean is, sorry, I'm getting carried away. What I mean is, people in Portugal and from I gather from what you're saying, they want us to say no. In spite of this, and that, yeah, Portugal is perfect. But what I'm saying is, well, man, it's not difficult to solve those little problems, those in spite of. That's and I would prefer that those little problems were solved, because when I say, and it's true that Portugal is beautiful and we have great food and whatever, it's all true. My impression is when we say that, it's as if the situation is solved, you know? So there's nothing to improve. Why? Because the country is perfect and beautiful and lovely in this sense. See my point?
I do. So a good bacalhau is not going to solve the problem of the signboards, basically, is what you're saying.
No, it does.
Even if it's a signboard about the bacalhau.
It does solve, because I love bacalhau, but the sideboard is there, and it doesn't have to be there if it's something that has to be there, like a place to treat garbage or whatever. You can say, well, unfortunately we have to have these places because it's important, but you don't have to have the goddamn sideboard there. That's what I'm saying. It's just that you don't have to drive in the middle of the freeway. You can move right when you're slowing. That's that kind of thing.
I got you. I'm gonna throw out a couple of irritations that I've heard from foreign people coming to Portugal, and I'm gonna ask you to role reverse. So I'm gonna ask you to debate against it, defend your country, Pedro. I know now you have to switch roles. Okay.
No problem.
All right. The other day I heard a complaint that from a lady. She published on a Facebook group that she couldn't find any good bread in Portugal. Go.
Well, that's an absurd. We have amazing bread, and even now we have some new companies that are doing all kinds of bread with special wheat and whatever, and we have amazing bread. In Mecca, there's amazing bread from that region. Well, that's ridiculous. What that lady's saying. Either she was bad luck. We have amazing bread.
Okay.
True.
Okay, American couple went into a shop the other day, and they complained because the lady behind the counter couldn't speak any English.
well, maybe the couple should learn some Portuguese or use Google Translator. I think we shouldn't speak as good as English as we do. We take some pride in it, but this is our country. We should speak more our language, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. The other complaint I heard the other day, we didn't have enough American products in our supermarkets or British products in our supermarkets.
Well, I think they invented a thing called internet. You can ask them for delivery. Oh, I think we have enough American products. Everybody drinks Coca-Cola, and it's an American product. I have Marmite at my place, so you can drop by if you want.
Marmite? Do you like Marmite?
Yeah.
How do you eat it?
Spread in crackers.
Okay.
Little. Yeah.
On toast?
I like it. Yeah, toast, yeah. It has a strong flavor. I like it. Don't you like it?
I prefer, we have another one called Bovril. It's kind of like a softer Marmite.
Yeah, but I
find Marmite's a bit strong sometimes.
Yeah. It is strong, yeah, but I like it, yeah.
Do you like Belgian beer?
Yes. I like all kinds of beer. Yes. They have loads of beers, as you know. Yeah, I like some of them. Yeah. I like the strong beers, but I prefer wine. I like lighter beer in terms of alcohol content, and I prefer wine in terms of more alcohol.
We're a good country for wine, Pedro.
Yes, we are. But it's not the best wine in the world. It's just great wine, but it's not the best in the world, you know. But it's great wine, but we probably have the cheapest good wine in the world. The cheap, you can buy a bottle for €3 and it will be a great wine in the supermarket. Yeah, that's definitely true.
All right. You did actually the first time I ever saw you on TV was for Idols. Do you remember the first time that you did Idols?
I do. Yeah, definitely I do. Yeah.
Do you have good memories of that?
I got lots of hate, as you probably.
Why?
Well, because I was.
You were the serious guy.
Yes, I told the truth, no? and it's very difficult to handle the truth in Portugal because sometimes truth hurts, right? Or could hurt your, it's very, very difficult to. We don't have an individual kind of culture. We have like a collective. Everything is cool. Everything will be fine, kind of atmosphere, and it's very lonely to tell the truth in Portugal. Yeah. So, but I have good memories. I had some fun. I'm a different person now. It was just something I did. They asked me to do it, and I did it. So it was successful.
Yeah. In terms of talent here in Portugal, I mean, you did Idols. You connected at SIC. It's one of the big stations in Portugal. I mean, what do you want to say with the potential we have and the talent that we have in this country?
I think we have a good talent ratio. Okay, but what people don't understand, first of all, it's that their life is their problem. So, for instance, it's not enough that you sing well. You have to strive. You have to, some moments will be better than others. And the second thing is that Portugal is a small country, and it's not a rich country. So the opportunities won't be as much as in a bigger and richer country with more industry or with more money, or where people have more money to buy tickets to your concerts or whatever, in terms of singing or music. But yes, I think we have a very good talent ratio. I think Portuguese people are very capable, generally speaking, even if it's an engineer or a singer or a clerk, an office clerk. I think Portuguese, but as a collective, in terms of being demanding with each other, we are not good enough, and that's why we are not a better country.
It's interesting that thing of the collective it has good things and bad things. doesn't it? Good things in terms of looking out for each other and making sure that nobody gets left behind. But when it comes for self-improvement, it can be a hindrance.
It is. Yes, it is. Because Portuguese people have a lot of feelings, we have some expressions that don't make sense. Like, for instance, oh, Dylan, you are absolutely right. I was very incompetent. But the way you're saying it, oh, that's not fair. You cannot say a thing like that to a person. And the Portuguese is not. It's not bullshit. They mean it. So, and that's the problem. They could be, trying to get away with the situation, but no, they're. Yes, I know I missed the meeting this morning. I know we lost a client, but you cannot speak with me like that. That's a very Portuguese thing. And most of the if you ask 100 people about it, I would say 70% will agree with him. You cannot speak with him like that.
That's a challenge sometimes.
It's very difficult to fire somebody in Portugal. Very difficult in terms of professional performance. For the guy or the girl that gets fired, oh, he didn't like me. Oh, it's a personal thing. So you see how they evaluate the teachers or the judges. They're all geniuses, or the doctors. They're all geniuses, have the highest grades. Nobody's bad in Portugal in terms of evaluation. And well, statistically, that's an impossibility, right?
Yeah. Impossible. Pedro, for you, when you travel and when you come back home, you mentioned we met on the plane. So, just take us to getting off the plane, arriving in Portugal, on your way back. What are the things that you appreciate about living here? What are the things that you're happy to come back to?
Well, my family, and the sense that maybe tomorrow I won't go to work, or I won't go to whatever place I'm meant to be. The sense that is very possible to indulge in that kind of decision. I'm not saying I do it. Of course, I don't do it, but that's it's not really important what you're going to do next. You just have. In my case, I just have to survive the ride from the airport to my house with a taxi, because they go very fast. But then it's we have very strange good things. For instance, we have supermarkets open until very late. We have our gas stations, are open until very late. So you can actually, if you want a Coke or whatever at 11 p.m., you can actually buy it. I know it's not only in Portugal, I know, but those kinds of things are good. I would say good. Some things I like to come back to. The easiness of all of this.
It's a feeling.
Yeah, it's a general. It's a I don't know. It's like I'm on a holiday. Living here has a holiday feel about it. Nothing really happens in Portugal. Like I used to say this to my friends. Nothing really happens here. It doesn't snow. There's no tornadoes. There's no terrorist attacks. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make it to be. Nothing happens here. When you are in the middle of Lisbon, you don't think, oh, maybe there's this guy with a gun. Nothing happens here, and that's a good thing.
We speak a lot on this podcast about good things, and you're right. The assumption could be when we say these things that these good things that happen in Portugal, that the assumption is that they don't happen anywhere else. That these good things we have don't exist in other parts of the world. We know this is untrue. There's beautiful beaches in other parts of the world. There's lovely food. There's other places to be safe. What would you say, though, is something that we have here that's only Portuguese, that's only in Portugal?
I think when things really matter, Portuguese people rise to the occasion. I don't know if if you have a friend with cancer or whatever, for instance, if you make a few phone calls, even your enemies will help you. That's a very Portuguese thing. Or if your son needs to be, he wants to have an interview with this singer or whatever, with this famous singer, you make a few phone calls and it's possible. There's this sense of that if we feel it's important for another people, even if we don't know them, even if it's a friend of a friend, things will work out for that situation. You see what I mean? It's quite easy. I don't know if you know, but it's quite easy when we have in television, for instance, this guy, this kid is sick, he wants a football jersey signed, or it's quite easy to get. I'm sure it's easy in other countries also. I'm not saying this is a Portuguese thing, but we're all family, in a way. It's quite, and that's that I don't know what you call it. That maybe you're right. Maybe this collective empathy, I think, is something we have, and I'm not sure other countries have.
Interesting. Does it make you proud? Does that make you proud of our country? That part of us?
I find it touching. I don't really have the sense of belonging to any place, any country, or any. Maybe I'm a sporting fan. Maybe, I think I belong to my kids. I think they're very important to me, very structurally important. But I'm not sure I want to belong to a country or a religion or besides my football club. But even so, I don't go there to watch the matches. I'm not a going to stadium kind of guy, for instance. I'm not really I'm not really a people's person. Yeah. Okay. Or yeah, I don't feel I don't really need them. I don't know if this is getting too strange, too weird saying that, but I don't. I would probably be happier if I would have grown in a more structured country, for instance. Only now am I fully appreciating what's to living here, for instance.
So for your younger years, it was a struggle to be in a place like Portugal.
Yeah, and I was always successful in terms of my job, and I never had any difficulties. But yes, and for instance, now in the times we live now, young people have very low salaries, very very low, as you know, and it's weird because I think Portuguese people don't really understand why. They don't really make a correlation between the political choices the country makes, which are fine, okay, and the paychecks they have at the end of the month. When I say, well, but if you have less public companies or whatever, or more liberal government, maybe the economy would be better, etc. Blah 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 blah. They say no, and we are very childish in Portugal in some things. So we have to have an national service, fully equipped, but great schools, great universities, everything for free. And people don't understand that if your country has all of that, then the salaries can't be as high as they, what, I don't know if I'm explaining myself.
Yeah.
Taxes are very high, but since most of the people don't earn enough to pay higher taxes, they don't really understand what it means to say that taxes are very high, for instance. So I think we are very very interesting and good country, but we are very we are smart, not necessarily intelligent. we are very attracted to the easy answer. We're very, there's a complex answer that could be better, and that there's a black and white answer. We are very attracted to black and white, and we don't have in our civil society enough people that debate or that that struggle to have a more complex society and in terms of resolution of some problems. For instance, I pay, to your international listeners, I pay more for my gym than I pay for my son's engineering degree in one of the best top universities in the country. So I pay 75 euros for my gym, and I pay 67 euros each month for his university. And he's in one of the top universities in the country. He will have a job for sure, earning big bucks, probably abroad. And when you say in Portugal a thing like this is true, and people will say, yeah, I know, but you cannot speak like that because you have to take in consideration there's a poor guy that lives in, and of course this is true, but it will kill the question, because there never is a next step to the conversation. And then the other guy will say, oh, and there's an even richer guy in Porto that this and that and this and that. And it's very paralyzing, those kinds of, but I'm sure it doesn't make sense to anybody that I pay more for my gym than my kid pays for a university, right? But that's what happens.
Interesting.
Because my other kid was studying in London with a student loan that he has to pay, and he was paying £15,000 a year. So I'm paying, I don't know, 700 euros a year or 800, I don't know, more or less. So it doesn't make sense. But it's not even a political theme that's on top of the table in the parties, oh, a party wants this, a party wants that. No, it's not even an issue. And it's ridiculous.
Why? I mean, this is a tough one now. Why should we be? Okay, you're a guy that doesn't get proud of it. You don't have that sentiment, that proud of. But why should we be proud of our country?
No, I'm quite proud of Portugal at times, but I'm also proud of the British or of. I'm proud that Europe is supporting Ukraine, for instance. Okay, I think there's moments, there's situations that you should be proud of, even proud of myself, right? But I'm not the guy who's waving the flag and saying I'm ashamed of my country, for instance, of all the fires we had a few years ago. You remember? Yeah. Lots of people died. I'm ashamed of that. Makes me very sad about it. And in Portugal, we tend to swipe it under the rug. How do you say it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, Portugal, proud of Portugal. Oh, the pastel de nata is very good, and that makes me angry. I think we should sometimes feel more of the shame of things that don't go well, and not waste time being proud of silly stuff like the Tejo is very beautiful or whatever. Well, I prefer not to be as proud as somebody else, and I prefer that we own more of our country, be more adult, be more, have a more adult perspective of it.
Interesting.
That's strange. That strikes you as strange?
No, I don't think it's strange. I think it's a different perspective, and I think that's what I like. I like the different perspective.
Okay.
I hope I'm not irritating you.
No, you're not. You're not.
Okay. Pedro, what's one thing that you want people to remember or take away from our conversation? Just one thing.
well, probably that you shouldn't let others affect you as much as I was affected by others when I was younger. Okay, so you should. This has nothing to do with Portugal, but I think it resonates in our conversation. You should be more sure of your path, even when it's difficult. It's easy to say. It makes a lot of sense when you read about it in books and oh, that guy was wrong. He was the only one right. And I'm not saying I was right. I'm just saying that sometimes you have to face your own problems in a different way. That because in certain countries, and I'm sure every country has its specificities, right? There will be moments where the match doesn't exist with what your perspective and what you're thinking. Well, I would say that if you are in your 20s or your 30s, go for it, risk it. I would say have kids. It's the best thing in life. I would say taste our fish and our wine. They're very, very good. You will find, I'm sure, food as good as this one, but this one is very good. And I don't know, follow Sporting Lisbon also, and Formula One, which is one of my big passions also. I don't know what else to say, Dylan.
Pedro, how can people follow you online and keep up to date with you and stay connected?
Yeah, they can Google my name, because I have I'm one of those guys who has with a name nobody has. So yeah. I'm in Instagram and Twitter.
And you're on Wikipedia. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're on Wikipedia. You should check it out.
Cool. Yes. And if you want to follow me in Twitter and on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook as well, I think. Yes, my name is there. Yeah, pretty much. But I don't know if I have anything of interest, but
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Pedro, a question that we ask all of our guests. Portugal, the simple life? Why?
Well, because it's quite easy to live here if you grasp it. Okay, if you, for instance, we were talking about it. We didn't talk enough, probably, but you don't really have to know the language, because everybody will try to speak English, which Portuguese people think it's a quality, and I think maybe it's not, because it's your country. You shouldn't be so so I don't know the word servile. How do you call? How do you say
servile?
So?
Yeah,
servile. Nothing against foreigners, of course, but make an effort. You're here for a year or two, so make an effort. But yeah, it's quite simple country to live in. We use kilometers and meters and kilos and half kilos, but besides that, we have lots of. Everybody will help you in the streets. Well, I think I don't know. Is it difficult for a foreign people to live here? For you, is it difficult? No, not difficult, right? Okay.
No. Mas olha, próxima vez vamos falar português, okay?
Yeah, I like your accent. Yeah.
Is it Ukrainian or like a Russian? I've been told that I sound Ukrainian when I speak Portuguese.
No, it's not okay. Very British. It's not falar português. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if I prefer which accent I prefer, but yeah, that's okay.
What I find strange is because you don't live in Lisbon, right? And for me, it's very difficult to think of a life not in the Lisbon area. So it's a compliment to you.
Okay, well, come for lunch sometime in the village, in the countryside.
Oh, for lunch, of course, but live there.
Oh, to live.
One of the things we didn't talk is Portugal is very Lisbon centered, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really have cinemas of.
Yeah, but I think there is something that's unique about Portugal. I was speaking to my wife about it this weekend because I know, in a lot of the places, a lot of other European countries, you'll go to these sort of countryside locations and almost there's nothing, and you could still be in a very sort of small village and there's still a centre Saud. I know we pay for that, but there's life and there's activity, and you can still be in a random little village and have a good restaurant and have a good meal, whereas in a lot of places in the world, the countryside locations are almost dead. So that's quite interesting for me in Portugal.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
But thank you for being on the podcast.
It's a wrap, right?
It's a wrap. So thank you once again to Pedro, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We'd love to hear from you. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to the simple life.